Despite being large projects that rely on the work of hundreds, if not thousands of people working in tandem, most movie productions are one manic breakdown, drunken brawl on the set, or, let's have a look at the next bit here, nervous producer away from shutting down entirely. Yeah, is that good?
Yeah, it's pretty good, but I kind of was hoping that you would read it ahead of time, but it's fine.
I've got a script in front of me, we could try that. We're doing this professional, yeah?
Yeah, well, whatever. Let's just talk about Toy Story. We're talking about Toy Story.
Okay, yeah, sure, we can talk about Toy Story. This is new for me. People can't tell. It's new for me to actually read from a script, especially one I didn't write. Who wrote this, by the way?
I think I did.
Oh,
I hope.
Oh God. Oh, you know what? This is more for my audience. I'm having a fucking beer. Right. So what are we talking about today?
Toy Story 2.
Okay. Toy Story 2. Always a good place to start. The second one.
Yeah, exactly. The whole thing, like 90% of it was deleted like 2 months into it. They'd already put like hundreds and hundreds of man hours into it. And basically what happened was like some guy was dicking around with Woody's hat, which sounds like a sex thing, but that's actually just his job.
Because I've heard this story, but I didn't know the specific detail of Woody's hat being the catalyst for all of Toy Story 2 being deleted.
It was.
I'm learning something here. What happened with the hat?
Yeah, so basically it was like, there's this guy and he's working on Woody's hat, and he noticed that like Woody's getting deleted in front of him. And he was like, that seems wrong. And he clicked over to another scene that had like Ham and Potato Head and Rex in it. And then 2 seconds later, only Ham was there. And then 2 seconds after that, nothing was there. And he had to like call up his bosses and say like, unplug the computers, like everything's exploding.
So are you telling me that during the production of Toy Story 2, just the snap happened in real time for animators and just characters started disappearing without any warning or acknowledgement? Because I've heard this story before, like, someone accidentally deleted it. I didn't realise that. Someone witnessed it happen in real time and saw these characters just fade away.
Yeah, and that's what's funny is it wasn't like somebody deleted the whole file at once. It wasn't like everything just didn't work. It was like they're watching as their life, it's like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind or something. Like their life is crumbling around them. Or people are getting snapped out of existence. And what's funny is, so he calls the bosses and is like, oh my gosh, shut everything down. So they flip the switch, but it's a huge office, right? There's like hundreds of people working there, and they don't know what's going on. They just like, oh, the computer's down, so they all went to lunch. They're just like,
as they do. It's Hollywood. Fuck it. You're in LA. Shit's going wrong. Let's do lunch.
Yeah, they're just like, well, I'm sure it's fine. And then they come back and they realize everybody's just freaking out because they can't figure out what's going on.
They can't find these characters. Like, that's very meta though, because like almost every Toy Story movie is one of the toys disappears and it's a mission to find them. And then that happened during production, where just the toys would disappear and nobody knew what was happening or where they'd gone.
Maybe it's just like one extended homage. Like every time they make another movie, they're just remembering the dark times when Toy Story 2 was deleted.
There's something so funny about the idea of just an animator just seeing the characters disappear. I'm like, what? I guess my job's done because there's nothing for me to do here.
Right.
So what was going on with that? I genuinely don't know what happened with this.
Yeah, apparently what happened was somebody, and they don't know who, but somebody programmed a code that, or like obviously I'm not a coder, I don't know anything, but basically the command was like, delete everything under this to this point or whatever, and it's a way to like clear out a bunch of useless files. But they put it at the top of the whole thing. So they were basically like, delete everything under here, and everything was under there. So it just was like going through and killing everything that Toy Story had ever been to that point.
I'm just imagining, it's like the Sentinels from The Matrix. Make a movie out of that. That should be a short.
Oh yeah. No, for sure.
There should be a short where it is the characters being deleted from the servers and trying to hide, like digital versions of themselves, like Wreck-It Ralph or something. I'd watch that. And isn't it that there was a lady who had just taken the entirety of the movie home to work on her personal computer?
Exactly. And what's funny is that so she had gotten pregnant, and so she was at home with her kids, so she was just working off-site. But what's funny is that apparently it took them like 3 weeks, and she was back at work before she remembered, I have the whole movie at home. Like
What? I
like
need
she
to
had
know,
forgotten.
What computer was that lady working on where she had the entirety of Toy Story to a movie? As you said, that took hundreds of computers working in tandem to create, and she just had it on her like home setup.
Yeah, so apparently, so it's funny because this was happening in 1998, right? So like the entirety of the movie was like 4 gigs or something.
Oh,
You know, she only had, you know, like 250 megabytes like at home or whatever. And they ended up actually getting to restore a lot of the movie without her, so maybe that's why she didn't do it right away. But the problem was that like Woody was no longer able to hold his hat, like it just like
there's something
would, like-
about that image where just they're programming a computer thing to pick up the hat. I can't.
Yeah,
I
and
lack
so,
that
like-
knowledge.
like they had the movie back, but there was all these little weird glitches that they couldn't figure out, and so it was essentially at the point where they're like, technically we have it, but 10% of the movie is missing or something, but we don't know what 10%. And so it's like functionally not usable, like you would have to start over. And this is when the woman in the meeting was like, oh right, I have the whole movie if
Just
you
at
want it."
home. Yeah, just
Yeah.
got it. Oh, USB stick. Let's go.
I mean, apparently it was like a big computer still. Like it was like a whole, you know, it took up like her whole trunk basically.
I hope that when they went to her house and just got Toy Story 2, it's like that moment in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where there's just someone sat outside. It's like, you need to be ready for a large file transfer. How large? And then just a fucking tower flies out the window.
Right.
Just chuck it straight out. We'll figure it out. We're done.
Yeah, apparently when they brought it to Pixar, they were met by like 8 people, and they carried it in this big sheet, and they say it looked like they were bringing in Pharaoh because it was like 100. I mean, it wasn't actually, but it was like essentially worth $100 million because of how much the movie made.
Yes.
And they were like, "This is our whole livelihood."
Just bringing it in on a fucking stretcher.
Yeah.
Like the $6 million man. Just dragging it in. Don't worry, we can rebuild and we can make it better.
This wasn't the first time it happened to them. Apparently, when they were making A Bug's Life, all the ants got deleted one day.
Just the only thing you need to do in the movie is make ants. That's like, did you ever hear about Lord of the Rings? Like, this happened with Lord of the Rings, where they had like virtual armies for the CGI battle scenes that were programmed to do like very specific things, and they were looking at like early renders of battle scenes, and they noticed that entire swathes of some armies were just running away. And it turns out they programmed them to run in a straight line until they encountered another enemy, but the paths didn't cross, so it looked like in some early battle scenes, just massive parts of the army just fucked off. They just pushed out
awesome.
immediately and quit. Like,
Wait a minute, that's so interesting to me. That makes it almost sound like it's AI, but it's not, right? I mean,
no,
it's just
yeah.
they just weren't in tandem or something.
Yeah, it's often framed by lesser fact websites as like, oh no, the AI ran away. It's like, no, they were programmed to run in a straight line and then just virtually combat whatever they encountered, but their pathing didn't intersect. So when they like rendered the battle scenes initially, you just had like vast swathes of the Orcan army immediately turn tail and run. So it just looked like they were just running away. And I kind of wish they'd left that in. Speaking of Pixar and Toy Story, have you heard what they had to do to like make spider webs, I think, in that movie when they're in the antique shop?
No, I mean, no, I didn't hear this.
Well, spider webs, like you'd think, oh, you just make a spider web, like 3D model of Spider-Man, put it in, but it's like, no, then they all look the same. And they couldn't develop an algorithm that would make convincing looking spider webs, so instead, they made AI spiders and made them make spider webs instead.
Holy shit.
They just programmed AI spiders to make virtual webs and then put the webs that they made in the areas. It's like, what? How is that easier than just getting an intern to make a 3D fucking web?
That is nuts. That's so freaking cool, though.
Like, Pixar don't give a fuck. It's like they brought in an expert on heavy animal locomotion, like elephants and pachyderms and that sort of thing, to inform the movements of Sully, because they wanted his movements to look realistic for a creature of his size. So they brought in an expert and told him to, give our animation department a speech, and then they did something similar for like Finding Nemo, where they brought in marine biologists to teach them how like certain fish would react. And that's to develop like new fluid technology realization with the What? Who does this?
Right, that's like in Coco too. The kid's hands, he's exactly correctly playing the guitar.
It's like Metalocalypse, I think it is, that show. where all
Yeah.
of the music scenes are, I think the guy who helped make it, or one of the people who made it, was like a nut for that sort of thing. So all of the chords and notes played are perfectly representing what the music is that you're listening to. Because he insisted on that. It's like, why? But at the same time, yes, do more of that. I love this shit. The best one, though, is for the movie Shark Tale. This one fucking blew my mind when I learned. It's like, in that movie, there was an underwater whale wash, where they wash whales. And it is the art department spent so long making the schematics for this whale wash. They said, this could be built in real life, and we could actually use it to wash whales. Like, if we wanted to, we could build this with the specifications we made for the 3D model, and you could use it to wash whales. I don't know why you would, but we could.
See, that's the thing that the Pixar should be doing, is they should be like selling their Spider AI to Sony or whoever's making the new Spider-Man game, or like Interstellar apparently made not a lot, but some of its money back, like because the whole thing is that the only thing that exists on the planet anymore is corn.
Oh yes,
they grew like a shit ton of corn. But then when the movie was over, they sold all the corn.
They just sold the corn.
There's one more thing that's important about Toy Story 2.
Yes.
They finished the movie on time.
Yes.
Then they deleted it all anyway because it was garbage, and they started over.
No.
Yeah. John Lasseter came in and was like, actually, this sucks. Like, this movie is garbage. Oh. And so they still had to basically scrap the whole movie.
That's incredible. I'm being paid for this. This is my job. I'm so happy. Like, people watching this on Crack have got no fucking clue who I am. But my audience from my channel are like, wow, Carl's having a great day. He's having a beer. He's talking about movies. He's having a great day.